Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fastiano. Today is Monday. I have a whiskey review for you. Today we're taking a look at the Heritage Barrel, the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Heritage Barrel. Just like always, we're going to pour it, nose it, taste it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Actually, I'm not really going to talk about it a whole lot. I'm actually going to ask some questions because I'm a little bit confused on some of this information. So if you guys can help me out, the people that are far more knowledgeable than me can help me out as we go through this. So what we're looking at here is a Jack Daniel's and the Heritage Barrel. Apparently this is an old school or traditional way of preparing barrels. It's heavily toasted and lightly charred. And what's interesting about it is the barrel entry proof is 100. And then coincidentally, it is also bottled at 100 proof. This bottle is a 750 milliliter bottle. I paid $56.99, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, if you don't know. And every time I give prices, it's prices before tax. The mash bill on this is the traditional mash bill of Jack Daniel's, I believe 80% corn, 12% malted barley, and 8% rye. I should probably memorize mash bills. It seems like November is dominated by Jack Daniel's. I'm batch shooting, and as I'm looking at it, it looks like we got a couple of Jack Daniel's in the lineup. I pick up an acetone note in Jack Daniel's, and as it is in the glass, I think that acetone note kind of dissipates the longer that it's in the glass. But I got to tell you, it's pretty distracting right up front. It's like an assault on my nose and on my palate. Sometimes when that acetone note comes through on the palate, it's kind of off-putting, but it kind of goes away. But I also need to say, traditionally, I get a banana note in Jack Daniel's, and I don't know if it's because of the heavily toast and light char barrel. I'm not really picking up on a strong banana note. I wouldn't say that it's not there, but it is very faint. And maybe that's just something that's in my head thinking it's Jack Daniel's, so I will get banana, so therefore I do get banana. But it is toasty. It has a little bit of a bready note to it, maybe like a graham cracker. It's sweet, a little bit of molasses. Again, the acetone note is there, and it has your typical bourbon notes. I don't think that this is very exciting on the nose, but it smells pretty good. You can throw in a little bit of milk chocolate as well. Maybe some barrel char. I mean, it has a little bit of depth, but it's not it's not wowing me. It's not exciting my nostrils. Let's go ahead and get on the palate, see if it's any different on the palate. All right, I really wasn't expecting that level of spice. Didn't really get anything on the nose as far as spice goes, but on the palate, it's lighting me up with some cracked black pepper, a little bit of ginger, cinnamon spices there, vanilla, almost like a vanilla cinnamon roll. I think that 100 proof point is pretty nice. Not very oily, not very viscous, not really developing into anything. I think it's got a pretty consistent flavor from the arrival to mid-palate to finish. I like the spice level. And you know what? It's really not as sweet as I thought it would be either. And for me, traditionally, Jack Daniel's has been pretty much a dessert in the glass. And this is lacking some of that sweetness that Jack Daniel's typically has for me. I know toasted barrels are kind of hit and miss with some people. That toasted profile comes across as marshmallowy, campfirey, maybe like s'mores. Sometimes it's popular with people, sometimes it's not. Now, just for those of you who are interested, it looks like this is barreled 7/12/17, and it was bottled on 8/5/25. So that is a little short of 8 years old. And if you're paying attention or want to know the barrel itself, this is 25-05006. There's something going on with the finish that is pretty interesting. The sweetness that I'm getting on the palate is very low, but that finish is becoming sweeter and sweeter. And maybe that's the oak, maybe that's the toast or the light char. I'm not exactly sure, but the development of that sweetness is really coming through on the finish. The spice is dropping off and the sweet is rising up. I don't think I've ever had that before on a bottle. All right, that was my first sip. Let's go ahead and get a second sip in, add some water, and then there's a couple of questions that I have about the Heritage line. So, second sip. Second sip is more of the same, with the exception of there's more of a drying note happening. I don't get a whole lot of oak tannin, or bitterness. It's just straight up going across the tongue and leaving a dry feel. Spice is still elevated. Sweetness is coming in on that back end. The traditional banana note that I get with Jack Daniel's is completely gone. And again, that toastiness, marshmallow, graham cracker note is there, pretty subtle. Yeah, I'm not really too sure how I feel about this. I understand that there is variation, or there will be variation from barrel to barrel. This is good, but it is failing to excite me. I think it is a pretty good, but nothing above average. Let me go ahead and add a little bit of water to this, see what happens with it. And I want to talk about like the Heritage barrel itself. So based on what I'm looking at, based on the research that I found, they had a release of this, the Heritage barrel, back in 2018, 2019. So this is not the first release of it. This was announced in August of 2025, and it's intended to be a normal release, like a shelf-stable product. I know this was very hard to find when it first came out. I think there were only 400 barrels in the first batch. I think they're going to be releasing larger batches of it. And maybe that 400 barrels has something to do with what I'm just about to ask. I don't know how rick houses actually operate as far as actual elevation. They're saying that this release was put into their higher elevation barrel houses. And I know if you go to the top of a rick house, I think the ABV starts to increase, and I think there's more angel share, like the evaporation of the water out of the barrel, the higher up you are in a rick house. So I'm wondering if both of those things are happening. Since this is going into the barrel at 100 proof, and then they're putting it in the top part of the rick house, and they're putting these barrels in the highest elevated warehouses they have. So we're looking at high elevation warehouse, plus they're being stored at the very top of each of the rick houses. So the proof point is going to increase, and you're going to have a less yield inside the barrel. And then as the proof points increase, they add water back into the barrel to actually bottle it at 100 proof. I don't know how elevation and floors within the rick house play a part in how much evaporation happens. My guess would be the higher elevation and the higher the floor is that the barrel is on, I think you're going to get more evaporation. I think that's how it works. But is that the case across the board? And is that why they only had 400 barrels to do this initial release? I don't know if that was clear, or even if it was clear in my own head, but my question is, going forward, are they going to have more than 400 barrels, knowing that they're going to lose some of the volume of the barrels as they age within the warehouse? Or do they start taking these barrels and start lowering them, putting them further down towards the bottom of the warehouse so they don't lose as much? And if that's the case, is it still considered to be a Heritage barrel? I don't know. The whole process is kind of confusing to me. I don't know if they keep them up there, if they keep them in the high elevation rick house, if they keep them on the high floors, or if they do move them. If you know, enlighten us. Leave me a comment down below. Also, while you're down there, just go ahead and take a look at the description of the video, and I have a Patreon link if you're interested in supporting the channel. I have multiple tiers available. If you enter in any of the tiers, you have access to my whiskey collection along with the prices, the sip or skips, or the scores that I've given bottles. The higher tiers, I'm doing a giveaway for every tier. And then the higher tiers, the $20 and the $50 tier, I'm doing curated flights either twice or 4 times a year. Again, if you're interested in supporting the channel, take a look at the tiers, select one that suits you the best. Also, if you made it this far and you like what I'm doing here, not this whole rambling part, but if you like what I'm doing overall and you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Turn that bell notification on because I produce videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you should be notified when a video comes out. So hopefully the water has had time to do its thing. Let's go ahead and get it on the nose, which smells a little bit more oak forward. The spice that I was getting on the palate now seems to be coming through on the nose as well. There's a lot more pepper, a lot more ginger. Typical bourbon notes are still there. They're just a little bit more subdued and the spice is coming forward. Smells like vanilla icing with no banana. All right, let's go ahead and get it on the palate. I do not like it with water. It is completely drying. It's sucking the moisture off of my tongue. I'm left with dry spice with almost absolutely no flavor. Yeah, I think adding water is a mistake. Going forward, I'm not going to add water to this at all. So I think the only thing left to do is go ahead and give this thing a score. If you're new here, I rate everything out of 5 stars. Based on everything that I had without the water, I don't think, again, this is a very interesting single barrel. It is good. I like the price. And I think there's enough here to keep my interest to think that I would like to try another single barrel. But as far as this single barrel and the score that I'm going to give it, 3.45. It's not a bad score. And I think there is enough here to put it a little bit above average, which I think is around a 3. But a 3 point, I think a 3.4. I think a 3.4 would suit this. So that's where I'm at. If you have had this before, let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. If you see this in your area, was it abundant, or are you starting to see another release, and are they starting to become more shelf stable? That's all I have for you today. So wherever you are at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll talk to everybody later. Bye.